Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. I started to be called the Big Game Hunter when I did recruiting. I would hunt down leaders and staff for organizations, did it for a long time and filled a lot of positions. And now I do, no BS career advice. I help with job hunting, hiring more effectively, managing and leading better, helping people with workplace issues or a career transition. And as such, on this show, Career Coach Office Hours, I field questions from people about those areas: job search, hiring, management, leadership, career transition, or a workplace issue of some sort. So if you've got a question for me, put it into chat because I'd be very happy to answer your questions. Also, and by the way, uh, you can connect or follow me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/ the big game hunter. Mention that you saw one of the shows. I like knowing I'm helping some people. I've been on air for more than a year. I think it's a year and a half at this point, and I've helped a lot of folks just by doing a live Q&A like this. So again, if you've got a question for me, put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer your questions. Also, at my website, thebiggamehunter.us, you can schedule time for a free discovery call. Timothy, welcome. Good to see you. You can schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule time for a coaching session with me, find out about my courses, which you can rent or buy, my books and guides. There's just a lot there to help you. And with that, in the realm of the help, you can always go to, hold it, you're, oh, I'm sorry, I was confused there, Timothy. And thank you, I appreciate the hello. So with that, I'll also mention, in addition to my website, you can always subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. There's an app by that name on Amazon. So if you've got a Fire TV or a Fire Stick, you can always watch me there. As well as, if you don't, there's other streaming services. There's an app called BingeNetworks.tv. And you can watch me on over 300 streaming services through BingeNetworks.tv. Also, No BS Job Search Advice Radio is the #1 podcast in Apple Podcasts for job search. No show is even close to that one. And Monday is episode 2500. Yeah, you heard that right. 2,500 episodes will be on Monday. And I've got a nice show planned for Monday and for the area of November 20th, which is the 12th anniversary show. So you can tell I've been doing this for a long time. I've helped a lot of people. Like, they've been more than 1,300,000 downloads at this point. As a result, lots of information there on the podcast, and on the YouTube channel is more than 7,000 videos there too. And on my website, it's more than 12,000 posts on the website. And yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So a lot of great information I share with folks. And, again, you can just go to the website and search in the blog. Again, a lot there to help you. And JobSearchTV.com or in the or subscribe to the podcast, which, like I said, Monday is episode 2,500. So I've got a lot of questions that people sent to me in advance, and you can do that if you're connected with me on LinkedIn. Again, that's linkedin.com/IN/ the big game hunter. And you can follow me or connect with me there. Message me, and I'd be happy to answer your questions on the show. And I do about 20 to 30 minutes on a Tuesday and Friday. So feel free, come join, message. You can tell I don't bite too hard, right? I'm a friendly guy. So let's see now. ADP Gibso, Following for a while. Pleased I'm live. Yes, me too. And I'm also pleased I am alive too. So excuse me for being a little hammy today. I'm just in one of those moods. Okay. So I've got a question from someone. It ran a little bit longer than the space that StreamYard provides, but let's start. Okay. As a hiring manager or HR, what do you think of candidates asking in a job interview, what do the exit interviews of ex-employees of this company tell you about why people leave this company? What do you think made them leave? And by the way, TJ, I don't bite. Thank you. I appreciate the comment. So I don't like the question, and it's not for the reason that you may think. The reason I don't like the question, by the way, the name of the podcast is No BS Job Search Advice Radio. And a lot of episodes. I've got, I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me go to the question I received, okay? But the long and the short of it is I don't like it because I don't like questions that job hunters might ask. They would encourage a hiring manager to lie. Because they're always going to say, well, they left for a better opportunity. What made it a better opportunity? And that's where the lie shows up. As a result, I don't like a question like that. I would rather encourage you to check references by contacting people who are in the organization or who have left the organization who might know this hiring manager. You can discern that on LinkedIn and just find people who are doing work similar to what you're being interviewed for at that particular firm. And that should help you find people who work there, and you can call them. You can message them through LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm interviewing at this organization with so-and-so. Do you know them? Yeah, could I ask your opinion of them? Take maybe 10 minutes of your time just to ask a few questions. Keep it very simple. You are always better to go outside of the chain of command for advice than to work it inside, and especially do you think this manager would ever stop and say, they left because of me? No. Once you can't get an answer like that, you're not going to get the truth. As a result, better to check a reference with people who are in the organization or who have left the organization. With those who have left, remember, these are people who chose to leave. You want to find out why. It doesn't mean that they're completely accurate. And as such, people who praise, people who hate on a particular manager or a particular company, like if we were talking to someone at Twitter today, and this is the first day that Elon Musk is doing layoffs. Do you think they'd ever give you a good review, even though they may have had 1, 2, 5 great years? No, of course not. As a result, you're always in the position where you're at risk of hearing a lie, and you never want to be in that position. So again, don't ask a question about what they might hear at exit interviews. The manager may not conduct the exit interview. HR may do that. And as a result, you're not going to hear anything good because HR is certainly going to give you something sanitized rather than, that manager is a problem. Right? But like I said, once you won't hear that, you've got some issues about truthfulness that you'll hear from any firm. Okay? And I'll just remind you, if you got a question for me, put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer. Okay? Let's go to the next one I received through messaging on LinkedIn. Okay. What are some ways to tell if your best employees will make good managers? Your best employees may not make good managers, but there are some ways you can try them out. And that starts the first thing. Try them out. Now, do they need training? Do they need training about how to manage? How does your firm manage people? What are the expectations of someone in a manager role? Now, I will tell you there's a difference between managing at a 5-person company, at a 50-person company, at a 150-person company, at a 500-person company, and a 50,000-person company. Be clear about what your expectations are for new managers in whatever the culture is. Train them, send them to formal training, whatever it is. First of all, ask them if they want the opportunity, because some don't. But once they've gotten a baseline of training, give them something small to work on for a fixed period of time. Maybe it's a budget thing that they have to work on. Maybe they have to do status reports or managing a small project of some sort. Maybe it involves mentoring a new hire and training them. Pick something small to test them out. And once they've done this, give them immediate feedback. In giving feedback, you want to praise them first. Thank you for stepping up to the plate. I want to be clear. I did not expect perfection. I wanted to see effort from you and see how you responded. Notice, you're not telling them that you wanted them to be perfect. You wanted them to propose something, to do some work along those lines so you could see where they were. And once they have them, give them some feedback that's constructive and supports them in their continued growth, and then another project after that. Okay. Now we've got a question in chat, and let's see. I'm going to put ADP Gibso. I'm putting up your second iteration of the question. If you prefer I do the first, just put first into chat, and that'll help you. As a senior director, how can I connect with my employees without making them feel like I'm micromanaging them? This is not as easy a question as it sounds, because number one is there's a differential between you and them. You've got power, you've got authority, you're different. You're probably older, you're certainly more experienced than they are. And when you try to connect with employees, I think the simplest way to do that, if you're in person, is just hanging out for a certain period of time and participating as one of the folks. If it's online only, how have you been doing this up until this point? Because you had a couple of years of practice. Now, if this is purely about work and work-related issues, think of yourself as a coach. What do coaches do? They ask questions, and through the questions, a person learns. So, for example, if you think they might have made a mistake, instead of saying, I'm not so sure about that choice you made, you might just say, I'm curious, why did you decide to do it this way versus another way? And then shut up and listen. And when they give you the answer, then you can say, had you considered this or that? Yes, I did. And thus, why did you choose your approach versus the this or that approach? And they'll tell you, interesting. Let's see how it turns out. And along the way, I may check with you to see whether we have to do course correction or just go ahead, because I'm sure there's more than one way to do a lot of stuff, right? You may think you have the best way, but you may learn from your people that there are better ways than you're thinking about it. So that becomes the way you don't micromanage. You ask questions, and you do this privately, by the way. You don't do this out in the open in front of people. This is going to connect with another question I have later on about regular meetings with people privately, to talk with them and check in with them so that, number one, you can hear the good stuff and share the good stuff with them. I see you really putting in a lot of effort. Do you need any help? Do you need some support with that? and thus be able to be in the position where you're listening and learning from them about what they need, making recommendations to them that they can take or not take. If it's critical, insist, because you do have the responsibility ultimately, but your job is also to coach. And in coaching, it involves teaching. Maybe you do a regular weekly huddle with everyone, and you do individual meetings with people on a schedule. Whatever it is, think in terms of building the relationship and mentoring and guiding through the relationship to help them learn and grow so that they get to know, like, trust, and respect you as a human being and not just simply because you've got the job title. Okay? I hope that was helpful to you. And I'm just going to remind everyone who's joined, if you've got a question about job search, hiring, management, leadership, career transition, or want some advice about a workplace issue, put your question into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it. Okay. So let me just copy and paste the next question into chat. And that is, I received a job offer. Yay! Do I need to state that I'm excited to work for them in my response, or can I simply say I'll get back to them by whatever reasonable amount of time with regard to it? I think there's a better way to language that or to state that, because once you're saying I'm excited to work for them, why don't you just come to work for us? And it opens too many doors, too many Pandora's boxes of issues there. So you might just simply say, thank you for the offer. I've really been impressed by everyone I've met with on the opportunity. I need a little bit more time. I want to be clear and certain about my decision, not feel tempted about any place else. Could you bear with me for 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is? If I have any questions, I'll circle back to you within that period of time. But I'm thinking favorably of the offer. Notice that's the gimme that you give them. I'm thinking favorably of the offer, and I'll be in touch with you no later than, and then you state what it is. They probably will not be happy to wait for a week. Certainly not 2 weeks, because they have to make decisions, and they don't want to lose someone else, their number 2 candidate, because you're indecisive. As a result, get to work on following through on other situations you've been interviewing at, and don't put yourself in the position of losing something. Listen to what they say and their facial expressions and what they don't say in doing this. And if they say, well, I'm not really sure, maybe we don't really want you, and that could be a problem. So the long and the short of it is, put yourself in their shoes, be friendly, give them the, I'm looking favorably about this, and I hope to be in touch with you no later than 3 days from now with a firm decision that will be unchangeable. Okay? Let's go to the next one, which is, what's the difference between management consulting and IT consulting? Management consulting is like the overall category, and IT consulting is a subset under it. So it's a category like strategy work would be a category, or HR consulting, or logistics, or transportation consulting, or organizational development consulting. Any of these are categories that might exist under management consulting, and as a result, they are different. Like I said, the overall area is management consulting, and those other areas are subsets underneath it. Okay. Let's continue on. And again, if you've got a question, put it in the chat. I'd be very happy to answer it for you. Okay. Why is everyone on LinkedIn a manager, director, or CEO? Do you think most of these people are just trying to show off to the public? Look at me, I'm more accomplished than you. I'm sure there are some people who are doing that, but most aren't. Remember, we're talking about 855 million people worldwide. And if you're in the US, where the preponderant portion of those are, yeah, it's a lot of people. So whenever you're doing searches, just remember this title inflation that's going on. And firms give out higher titles to people who, let me give you an example. If you're at a 5-person firm and someone calls you a manager because they want to give you a title instead of money, that's title inflation. If you're at a 50-person firm and they give you the title of director with 3 reports, that's title inflation. If you're a managing director at a 50,000-person firm, that's got clear responsibilities with budget and such, but you don't see a lot of managing director titles on LinkedIn, do you? So remember, we're dealing with lots of companies and firms that would rather give out a title than money. And even if it's justified, just remember, we're talking about a huge population of individuals who are on LinkedIn that just, you know, they push for the title because there's an association between the title and more money, and titles and money are going up. So just remember that. And not everyone would fit a manager's title or a director or a COO's title in your organization, or you might not have a background that would fit what a firm is looking for out of someone at that level either. So don't overthink this. A lot of this is title inflation that's going on. Okay. Let's continue on. Again, if you've got a question, put it in the chat. If you've got a comment or just want to say hello, put it in the chat. Be very happy to acknowledge you, okay? Yes. What are some of the most common mistakes made by managers when dealing with employees? This goes back to the earlier question I had, where someone, ADP Gibso, spoke about connecting with employees without making them feel like they're micromanaging. So one thing is they buddy up too much. They forget that there's a distinction between their level and the subordinates level. And they just want to be one of the guys, one of the women, and you're not. You're not. You have different responsibilities than they do. And thus, you're in the situation where if they fail, they make you fail. Ultimately, you'll have to pull rank if you get too close, and thus be in the position where they respond with, "What's with so-and-so? And thank you, TJ. I appreciate it. So the result winds up being they get too close to people. Another thing that people do is they don't really do regular meetings with people. And I'm not talking about the stupid meetings. I'm talking about a legitimate one-on-one with someone where each of you has been able to connect with one another, talk about what's going on in the workplace, and being an asset to them because you know more. You don't set clear goals with one another, and a process for following through on those goals where you can measure their effectiveness during that period of time. There are no metrics that might exist. It doesn't take a lot of time or effort, but you as a manager have responsibilities. You as a leader have responsibilities. And in getting too close or not meeting at all, which is too distant, you're leaving them to their own devices without support, and that can come back and haunt you. So I'll just simply say, remember, in your job, you have things that need to be gotten done through other people. You have things that need to be gotten done through other people. And thus, although you want to be cordial and friendly, you don't want to be so cordial and friendly that you lose the divide that should exist between the two of you, where they know you, like you, respect you, and trust you. Okay. And it reminds me of, there's a coach I follow named Lance Secretary, and he talks about what he calls the castle principles, which stands for courage, authenticity, service, truthfulness, love, and effectiveness. Without any one of those dimensions, things break down in the relationship between a leader and their staff. So, what mistakes occur? Well, you're inauthentic. At times, you don't stand up for your people. That's the lack of courage or bravery. You don't serve others well. You're not honest. You don't show that you care or that they matter. You just treat them like a commodity, and you're not effective in what you do. So that's how it breaks down for people. So I'm going to do one more question today, and then be back next Tuesday for more. And this was a fun question. Okay, let me just come back here. I am challenged with leading a senior manager who's an expert in his field of S&OP, a 30-year veteran of the company, but does not develop his team to move to the next level. How do I get him to begin teaching and coaching his team versus keeping the knowledge to himself? Great question. And he's been a lone wolf for a long time, I'm sure. And no one has spoken to him about what his responsibilities really are. So what I'd say to you is start off by saying, how's your health? How's your health? Good. And he's going to be puzzled because, one of my responsibilities is to ensure that there's redundant knowledge here. And I keep noticing you're not passing on your experience to others. And frankly, that's going to be a problem, because whether you have a heart attack, develop cancer, notice I'm going in for the heavy stuff here. This organization has to survive. And for me, leading this organization, I want to support you in moving up. So you can't move up if you're old dependable in this particular function without knowledge transfer. Who can you mentor? Who can you do knowledge transfer with? So we can start looking at a more senior role for you, because right now we can't do it. And if you're Mr. S&OP for this organization, you're stuck here forever. And it's going to be complicated. Now, I'm going to speak to you, not to him right now. As we go into recessionary times, he may have job security because he's the one person who knows this. So I'm speaking to you here, and he may have a strategy that's right given recessionary times, but not right under normal times. Regardless, let's go back to the coaching for him. I want to support you with moving up. I want to support you with making more money. And it's hard to do that if you're the only person who knows this. You become the guy who gets the minimum viable raise, who gets frustrated with money, and thus we have to keep moving it a small increment rather than a bigger one if we can get you promoted. But that requires that you put yourself in the position where you learn, or let me restate that, where you pass on the knowledge to others. So we're going to sit down every couple of weeks, And I want to hear that you have a plan, you have a person selected, and what you're doing along those lines. Because otherwise, it's going to be a problem. And that may be the best way to do it with them. And they may get terrified, but you're also talking about giving them a raise and a promotion, which they'll probably like too. So I hope that's helpful. Message me and let me know how the conversations go. 30 years with the firm. He's been moving up slow increments. He's underpaid at this point because he's been getting those small incremental increases rather than the big chunks. So that may get his attention, and good luck. Like I said, let me know how it goes. So I hope you found this helpful. I'm Jeff Altman. Visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a ton in the blog that'll help you. Plus, you can schedule time for a free discovery call or a paid coaching session. You can go to the blog, which is more than 12,000 searchable posts that you can watch, listen to, or read that will help you. Plus, you can find out about my courses, books, and guides. The courses you can rent for a few days or buy. There's a lot there that'll help. I'll also mention follow me or connect on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you are on today. I'd love to know what's going on with you. And it just lets me know that this prompted you to do that, okay? I need the encouragement every once in a while, okay? Also, subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube or download the app for Amazon products. Watch me on BingeNetworks.tv, which is another app that appears on more than 300 streaming services. And subscribe to No BS Job Search Advice Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Play, and Monday is episode 2500, which is going to be the first of two parts, with the second part coming out later in November. Have a terrific day. Excuse me. You're welcome. Have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.